Welcome to the D Shift Podcast, where we provide inspiration, motivation, and education to help you transition from the challenges of divorce to discover the freedom and ability to live life on your own terms. Are you ready? Let's get this shift started. Hi, this is Mardi Winder Adams. I am the host of the D Shift, Redefining Divorce and Beyond. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping me get to my 100th recorded episode. I just want to say thank you for the time and the comments and the wonderful support that you all have shown, whether this is the first time you're listening in or whether you've been with me since the very beginning. Just thank you for everything you do. And if you are a woman going through divorce, you do not have to do this alone. Take care. Have a fantastic day. And again, thank you so much. Hello and welcome to another episode of the D Shift Podcast. And today I have somebody that I've really been looking forward to having another conversation with, and her name is Marla Press. Marla is the founder of the Speakers on Fire Academy. She's a public speaking and life coach, and she is a certified Art of the Presence trainer, which I think just sounds really cool. Art of Presence, I'm sorry, threw an extra "the" in there. Art of Presence trainer. And I think like that is such a phenomenal background to really help people in getting their voice out there and getting their voice heard. So Marla, welcome.
Thank you so much, Marty. I'm so thrilled to be here again with you. And this is such an important topic. Thanks for focusing on the art of presence because, yeah, I'm a public speaking coach and I want to talk about that. But when it comes to your personal life and your professional life, this art of presence, knowing how to be fully present, changes everything.
Yeah.
It helps in your personal relationships so much. And it helps if you're a speaker of any kind, whether you're on a big stage with lots of people, or you're speaking one-on-one, or you're a leader of a team. In all of these situations, being more fully present is so, so helpful.
Yeah, and you know, I love that you identified all those different things, because I think a lot of times we think of public speaking as, you know, speaking at a club or an organization, or, you know, I was thinking of a Rotary Club event, or, you know, the Chamber of Commerce, getting up and talking about your business or about something you're doing there. But it's really everything. I mean, if you speak at a PTA meeting, if you are, you know, I always hear people say, you know, if you speak at a church, if you volunteer and you lead a team, or you lead a team for your business, that's all public speaking. We don't think like that, though, for some reason. So I'm so excited about jumping into this, but before we do that, tell us a little bit about you, Marla. What got you interested in this, and why is this your area of passion and expertise?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. I've been on stages my whole life. So I started out at age 9 being in musical theater. I love musical theater, and I was a dancer. I can't sing, so don't ask me to sing because I'm really bad. But I was in musical theater, and so I love to dance, and I just love the theater, and I was a performer, but I wasn't good at connecting to the audience, and that's something I really had to learn. And the other thing that makes me really passionate is growing up, I experienced a lot of trauma, and I never spoke up about it. I was so shut down and so introverted. And I accomplished a lot of great things. I, won awards for my choreography, and I graduated high school early to go to college and study psychology. So I accomplished a lot, but I wasn't connecting to people. And it was this art of presence work that really helped me. So number one, I really want to help for all of you listening out there. All of us can answer the question, have you ever not spoken up about something? Yeah, so many times, right? Whether it's in your personal relationships or at work, just voicing your opinion about something, and it holds you back in your professional life for sure if you don't speak up. And speak so people listen. That's really my passion, is to help you speak up and speak so people listen.
Yeah. Oh, and when you're saying that, I was thinking back of it at a time where I have a lot of guilt around not speaking up
Mm.
about a specific event that I witnessed. And it probably wasn't anything all that extreme, but I just, to this day, I regret that I didn't feel more confident in
Oh,
just, now I was really young then. I mean, I was in my 20s, and
wow.
I just, I didn't feel like I had a place to stand up. It was kind of it was a weird incident where a person was yelling at another person and just really belittling and berating them, and I didn't stand up and say anything, and I felt horrible about not doing that. And that's one of the reasons I got into doing a lot of work with nonviolent communication and a few other things, and learning how to speak up and be more assertive. But I want to talk to you a little bit about that, because you're not, there's a difference between being assertive and being authentic. And I think your focus is really being on authentic when we're speaking up. Isn't that correct? Or am I misunderstanding that?
Well, that's an interesting question. So I definitely want people to be authentic and speak from their authentic voice because it's more connecting. You're more relatable. But I like people that are assertive. So not aggressive. So
Yeah.
there's a difference there. Not aggressive, but assertive. I think certainly if you're a business owner, you have to be assertive. And to advocate for yourself, you have to be assertive. So there's a lot of times when being assertive, if you want to stand out from the crowd and have your message be heard, you got to be assertive.
Yeah.
So I think that, sometimes it has a negative connotation, but I see it as a positive. I love people who are bold and speak up. But authenticity is really important.
Yeah. I
Yes,
like that.
yeah.
I like that differentiation between assertive and aggressive. I think, and I think, there was a time, and people that listen to the podcast know I'm not a spring chicken here, but there was a time when women who were kind of in upper management positions were encouraged to be like really super aggressive in their language as opposed to being assertive. And I'm seeing that pendulum is shifting back, swinging back to that more, yes, assertive, but also authentic and being who you are rather than trying to be somebody else when you're in a leadership role.
Ooh, I could talk to you about this for hours and hours and hours because I'm so passionate about this also. At some point, I was a gender diversity and inclusion consultant and worked in a company that did that. The art of presence was initially called the art of feminine presence.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And so now we include men. So I just call it the art of presence because most of it's the same. But in that, we work a little bit on where are you on the spectrum? And I don't mean, are you gender neutral, that kind of thing. It's not about the typical stereotypical feminine versus masculine qualities or the toxic ones.
Yeah.
It's it's more like the yin yang. It's more like, to be feminine is to be receiving, for example. And we think of women are the givers.
Right.
Giving is a masculine trait. Receiving is a feminine trait. And I teach people how to receive the audience. And that really helps with the connection. But back to this, the women in business. So in the art of feminine presence, I talk a lot about how so many women, especially in STEM and in certain, financial fields, certain fields that are dominated still by men, they want to act like men.
Yeah.
And you talked about a previous time. Things have changed a lot. Now, a lot of feminine qualities like collaboration and nurturing your clients. A lot of that is a lot more valued now. So the pendulum is swinging the other way because people realize that this is so important for a successful business. But it used to be that those qualities weren't really valued, and some of them still are not so valued, and there's still a lot of women that subdue their femininity because they don't think it's appropriate. But that's what makes you not only authentic but magnetic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as a speaker, I put that into, I've created a 6-month program now for speakers, And 1/4 of it is all about this art of presence because it affects your speaking so much. It affects your work life and your personal life. And they're so intertwined anyway.
Yeah. And if you, there's a sense, and I know we talked about this before when we've had a prior conversation. Um, there's people that get on the stage and act, and they that was another thing that for a while, the training on how to stand and do these grand gestures and how to use these facial expressions. And yes, it's important to make it entertaining for people to watch. But when you are telling a story that is a real story that genuinely moved you or genuinely had an impact on your life, it's a whole different vibe that you give off than if you're acting as if there was a story in your life. Does that make sense?
It makes so much sense. And this is also a huge part of what I teach because I do believe we do need to be entertaining. People expect entertainment. It used to be you could get information only in a few places, so they came to you for information. Now we come to be entertained and get that information in an entertaining way. We also crave connection.
Yeah.
And what I was talking about earlier was when I started as a public speaker around the country, I was in performance mode because I was used to being on a stage and I was used to those grand gestures and I was a dancer. But that only goes so far. And what I help people do is balance that entertainment factor with the connection factor because you have to have both. And knowing when to have which part come out and how to really get the best balance for you, because everybody's a little different. Some people are never going to be super high energy, and that's okay. But you have to have this magnetic energy that comes from inside. So you can be what someone might call lower energy, but still be mesmerizing and draw people in. And so I help everyone find the best balance for them with either entertaining or at least being magnetic and also being able to connect when they tell their story or tell a story or just, when they're making an offer. How do you connect to people?
Yeah, yeah. And so here's another question that I know that you focus in on your trainings is what how do we decide what our message is? Like, so let's talk to the women entrepreneurs or business professionals out there, and I know there's lots of them listening. Let's say you've got to make a presentation or you've got to get up and do a talk or whatever you've got to do. What is the key factor about that message that you've got to deliver? How do you make it work for you? Or what do you need to do to make it work for you, I should say?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the audience. It depends on what you offer, what you do, how you help people. But some of the things that apply to everybody is number one is clarity. What I find a lot of people either they're using jargon or they're over explaining their message. And then people get lost. We're like, well, what? We think as a speaker that if we just explain it a little bit more, they'll understand me more. But the truth is, people are so bombarded with information these days that less is always more. And so you want to be really clear, not use jargon, and then you want to really address what is important to your audience. Is it, whatever their pain point is, we talk about pain points, but, what's going on for them in their real lives that you can help them with, and to just focus in on that. And all people say, oh, but I do so much more. I struggle with this myself. It's like, oh, but I'm a life coach and I help people with their speaking and I help people with, this, that, and the other. There's so many things, image and video and so many things I can do. But if I come out and say blah, 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 then you're going to just say, what does she really do? So you
Yeah.
have to think, what's the most important? What's the most immediate need of my audience? Focus on that and know that once you work with them, you can help them with all these other things too. But you have to lead with something that's just what you're hanging on the door. This is who I am.
And that's the thing. Because I do go to a fair number of different online networking events, and I'm, now thank goodness that COVID's over, I'm able to go out and do some meetings with business professionals and stuff in local communities. And sometimes I sit with a person for 15 minutes and I still don't understand what they do because
I know.
what is
I
this?
know, right? Oh my gosh, I know. You're like, oh, I think I really like you, but I have no idea what you can
Yeah.
do for me.
And
Yeah.
the thing is, it really hurts your business, your ability to do business, because
Yeah.
nobody knows who to refer people to you or what to refer people to you for. Like they really like to support you, but they're like, I don't know what she does or he does. And the hardest thing I ever did was I did a workshop where you had to, in 20 words or less, describe your whole, like, not a 1 minute elevator pitch. It was a 20-word statement that people could clearly identify what you did. So mine is, I'm Mardi, the divorce transition coach for high achieving women. Stop talking, right?
Boom.
That's it.
Boom.
But
And
it sounds like such a simple thing, but it took forever to figure out which 20 words to put in there.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does take time. And so I worked very specifically on this with people. We spent, several hours on just this. What is your short marketing message so people really know who you are? And then how do you make it, so usually you do have more than just 20 words, it's
Absolutely.
it's a great exercise. I'm glad you brought that up because it helps people be clear because we
Right.
want to say so much more and it just focuses you. But then, you usually do get, a minute when you're online, and in person, you might only get a minute or you might get, 5 or 10 minutes, whatever. But it's, you can add things there. But what do you add? How do you make what you do enticing? How do you make it so that the person feels an urgency to work with you? There's
Right.
there's several things that would go into that marketing message in addition, but the first step is to get real clear on exactly what you help people with.
And I think, and I realize we're talking about like speaking to sell a product or to, inform people about what you do. But even if you're not even, but if you are like a project manager or you are a team leader, you have to have that same level of effective communication. I mean, you need your team to be able to pick up in one or two sentences what they need to do. If you have to give more than a few sentences for somebody to explain to somebody what you need them to do, then you're probably not real clear on your expectations. That's always been my sense anyhow.
Yeah, absolutely. It works in every situation. If you want to influence someone to just take, some small action or a big action, you still have to be really clear. And these communication skills help everyone, no doubt.
Yeah. I want to go back to the presence thing, if you don't mind a little bit. What are some of the strategies, I guess? And I know you do a whole course around this, and we couldn't possibly, in a few minutes, discuss anything in any level of detail. But what are some ways that you could maybe start getting a better sense of presence, or developing your sense of presence?
Yeah, I love this topic. And it is a big one that I focus on because it really is magic when you get out of this cluttered head energy. And I talk about energy, and I know it's not as woo-woo as it used to be, right? A lot more people realize that it's a thing. It's a real phenomenon that we react to each other's energy at all times. And communication is only 10% the words you say, and it's 70% your energy. It's 20% your tone of voice, but 70% your energy. So it's your body language,
Right.
it's your confidence, and it's this thing we call energy that, let's say you maybe you met your spouse or your partner this way, or your best friend. There's just this attraction that you can't put in words. We call it chemistry, right? But this attraction, and that's their energy. And then you may have met someone else who you just get a little creeped out from, or you don't trust them, and it's not what they're saying. There's a feeling you get, and that's reacting to their energy. So it's a real thing. But the other part of that is that we're in such an informational age. And now that everybody's online, we're bombarded with information. And so our head energy is cluttered. It's our to-do list. It's, filtering from what happened before and what we're doing now and how that's going to affect us later. And we got so much going on in our minds that it's cluttered. And when we speak from this place, which most of us do, then it's not clear, but it's also not as magnetic. And so, what I help people do is to get out of this head energy, bring the energy down into your full body. Really, it's a special place I call your home space, which is in your lower abdomen. And, we all heard, trust your gut, speak from your gut, all of that. And it's a real thing. There is almost a consciousness of its own that's in your gut. We have more serotonin in our gut than in our brain. It's a real thing. And intuition, when we tap into it, is a special thing. So to get our presence into our full body, and I say your heart and your gut or your home space, and really speak from that place. So you're radiating out. You're not just up here in this, kind of vibrational energy that's just not as connecting. When you speak from that place, you invite people to also come into that place.
Yeah.
And so I take people through a guided exercise. Sometimes in my free masterclass, I'll do it in 5 or 6 minutes. We go into depth if you join my speaker program, and I will guide you because it's a little hard to explain intellectually, but when you experience it, you really get the difference in speaking from this place versus speaking from up here.
And I have to say, I did Marla's free masterclass, and I was one of the people that she did that with, and it was amazing. So it was, if I'm remembering it right, you asked a question. We gave myself, and there was, I think, 2 or 3 other people that did it. We gave our original answer. Then Marla took us through the little exercise. Well, not a little exercise, but it's a short exercise. It's actually a very empowering and powerful exercise. And then she asked us the same question, and everybody gave a different answer that was so much richer and more fulfilling. And all the other people were like, oh, that was it just really made a huge difference in how we responded, because we weren't going just by numbers and facts and figures, and we were going deep and finding ways that we connected with the other people right away, because we talked about the human experience rather than some arbitrary number or something. So it was very powerful. So
Yeah,
yes,
thank you so much for bringing that up because here's what I have people do is do their sort of their elevator pitch, so to speak, and then take them through the exercise and have them speak again. And what happens is people slow down,
mm-hmm.
which draws people in. People lean forward when you're talking so fast, which is what we're used to. People don't lean in as much, but they lean in when you have this magnetic energy. And so people are calmer,
Mm-hmm.
they speak slower, but the content also changes in that it becomes less about yourself and more about the person you want to help.
Yeah.
And it becomes more emotional. It
Yeah.
becomes more passionate. It becomes more understandable. People use fewer words. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing.
And I'm telling a lot of stories in this one. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm taking a lot of your time here, but
No,
I
not
had
at
this
all.
amazing as a mediator. I did, and I got to be very careful because this is confidential. So I got to be really super careful not to give too many details here. But it was between a hospital and a doctor and a widow whose husband had died because of an event that happened at the hospital and with this doctor. And it was a mediation, and it was a huge settlement. I mean, as you can imagine, it was a wrongful death case. It was a huge settlement. And, the doctor was not allowed to speak because obviously the lawyers for the hospital didn't want anybody saying, anything that would potentially imply that they were guilty of anything, the whole 9 yards. Anyhow, long story short, finally the doctor just said, I just need to speak. And all he did was he looked at the woman and he said, from the bottom of my heart, I am sorry. I have not performed a surgery since that event because it devastated my life. And him just saying that and having that human connection, they both went off, they had a conversation, they came back, they settled for an amount that was much less than was originally asked for. And the doctor actually, after he finished, he had tears in his eye. He thanked her. She thanked him. It was that human connection because they were able to calm down, slow down. And I love that. Got out of the number crunching and into this deeply impacted both of our lives in different ways. But, there was an impact. And so I totally resonate with that.
Yeah, it's a different way of communicating, and it changes lives, and it makes such a huge difference when you can do that, and not just do it once, but do it on a regular basis and really live from this place instead of from this place where we normally, we're always, go, 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 and everything is crazy and we're all cluttered. And yeah, it makes a big, big difference. And Mardi, I love that you're telling stories. Part of what, what this says about me, if you have a guest that comes on your podcast and it's like me, 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 and I got to say all these things about me, 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 then it's not as engaging for your audience.
Yeah, mine are always conversations. So I love it when people are okay with me telling my stories and getting in here. So
yeah, what I'd like to think is that I leave space, I open space for people to do that instead of, if all I did was, really be strong about just talking about me, you wouldn't even probably bring that up. So I love that I do that because that's, one of the things that I'm really good at as a coach is opening space for people to talk.
Yeah.
And as a, like I said, my degree is in psychology, and people will tell me all kinds of things about themselves, and other people will go, how did you find that out? Well, people just open up to me because I receive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's that authenticity thing. We're both speaking from the heart. We're both speaking about different areas of expertise, but we're both speaking from the heart, and that it resonates with both of us. I mean, you and I have had a previous conversation where we could have gone on for hours. I think we did for one.
I know.
We're actually out of time this time too. So Marla, with all the information that you've shared and all the ideas you've given us, what kind of rises to the top of the priority list for you, for people to think about when they go on about their busy days after listening to this?
Yeah, a couple of things. One is, I know a lot of you listening out there are either in the process of a divorce or have been divorced not that long ago. And that can really affect, even if it was your choice, it's a loss. And some of us, we question our own self-worth after this. I've been divorced, and it sometimes we feel like, well, where do we go wrong and what did we do wrong? And it's hard to be out in the world again. And I just want to encourage you that it's, the divorces happen all the time, as you know, and for all kinds of reasons. And to move on with your life in a way that, just be confident about who you are, because who you are is magnificent. And, we all have our faults. No one's perfect. And nobody even wants you to be perfect. They want you to be authentic. And I encourage that. And if you're a speaker and speak for a living, to learn how to speak really well. Besides the authenticity, there's so many skills that go into being a great speaker. And to have a guide or a coach of some sort that helps you with that, because it'll make a big difference in all your communication.
And speaking of that, as a speaking coach, how can people reach out to you if they would like to attend one of your master classes that you offer so generously for free, or if they want to, take a course or find out more about what you do or what you can help them with? What's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, so I have a QR code here, and you can just click on that and pick and choose how you'd like to connect with me. Or you see the Hot or Not eval. What that is you can bring any part of your speech, your marketing message, your story that you want to make more compelling, whatever part of your speaking, or if you just want some clarity on what your message is going to be, bring that and we'll work on that. It won't be about me. It'll be all about you and gaining this speech that is going to wow the audience every time. I offer that complimentary, and I guarantee you walk away with a great speech.
And all of the information will to contact Marla will be in the show notes. So please feel free, just scroll through them and you will find all her information and be able to reach out to her. Marla, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and insight today.
Thank you so much, Marty. It's my pleasure. Always, always a pleasure to be with you.
Oh, always my pleasure to get a chance to speak with you too. And I'd like to thank all of you for listening in to the D Shift podcast. And don't forget to tune in again next Tuesday where there'll be another episode. Thanks for listening and supporting the D Shift podcast. If you would like to attend live trainings by our amazing guests and have a chance to ask questions and get answers from our experts, join the D Shift crew. For more details and to sign up, head on over to www.divorcecoachforwomen and click on the podcast page.